Your offensive MVP. This might be an obvious one, although you got some backs besides the quarterback that might factor in there.
Well, I'm going to stick to what you probably figure I'm going. You could, you talk about offensive MVP. I mean, you could say Drake Nugent could probably the Senate transfer. My God, what we're hearing about how good he and what we know about him and Ladarius Henderson, all these guys. I mean, you can go in the line, you can go wide out, and obviously you can go a very talented tight end and Colson Loveland and the two stellar running backs. I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy. He is going to have an incredible year, barring injury.
Yeah.
I kid you not. He's going to be in New York City, might not win the Heisman, but he's going to be a candidate to win the Heisman. You heard it here first.
Well, and you'll hear it here second as well, because I just see J.J. McCarthy is in such a tremendous position right now to take advantage of not only all the hard work that he's put in, but all the hard work that other people have put in. You look at that offensive line, it is absolutely stacked. I don't know if you saw the videos that have been out recently of Zach Zinter when he was absolutely throwing guys around on the same play.
Oh, yeah.
Right, boom, he turns to his left, he throws another guy, and those holes he opened up at Ohio State. This is J.J. McCarthy has some big studs in front of him on the offensive line. He's got two backs that could both start for any team in the Big Ten in Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. He's got receivers, he's got the tight ends. I just think that he has got all of that experience. I mean, you saw Jim Harbaugh and these coaches work J.J. McCarthy into the lineup, even as a true freshman. And people were saying, maybe you should have more, or maybe you should do this or do that. But then you saw it really bloom last year as he took advantage of his opportunities, became the quarterback. And now he's got everything. He's played in Columbus. He will not have a tougher road venue. He had the disappointment of that playoff game and throwing a couple of pick sixes. He will have the motivation and the all the things that he learned through that experience to take onto the field this year. I think the kid is going to be really terrific, as you say.
Yes.
He stays healthy, and you have to hope for that. And I'm assuming he is going to show the kind of savvy that will help keep him healthy and get down when he needs to.
Yeah.
Let's talk defensive MVP.
Oh, this one is way well. Maybe it's as difficult as offense because there's so many pieces of arsenal in that defense that could earn it. And I'm not just throwing names out to throw them out, but I mean there's a lot of candidates, including Ernest Hausman, the transfer from Nebraska, who could who I think is going to have a great year. And I mean Chris Jenkins, we're super excited about him. What a great kid he is. But I'm going to go with Charles Woodson Jr. Okay. He's number two. He's Will Johnson, also known as Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson's going to have a Charles Woodson-esque 1997 type season where it's going to jump out at you how incredibly talented this guy is. And once again, all this stuff is qualified on staying healthy, and there's not any nagging injuries or anything that there seems to be on this team. A lot of a little fixing up, or some of these nagging injuries off spring ball, and there's cleanup work and the surgical, cleaning up a knee, cleaning up this and that, and all that stuff. And so I'm just under the premise that everything's going to be cleaned up and everybody's healthy to go and can stay that way. I mean, come on, Will Johnson. How do you go against that? How?
I don't necessarily go against it in the spirit in which you put it forth and in the wisdom with which you put it forth. Yeah. But I will say this. I'm going with somebody else.
Okay.
I'm going with a guy that I say will lead this team in tackles, but do a whole lot more than that. The tackles end of it is somewhat tied to position, but I think this young man is going to take the next step for the Wolverines. I believe the defensive MVP, your defensive MVP for 2023 is going to be Junior Colson right there in the middle of the
Yeah, that's
defense.
a good one.
I,
That's a good
he's
one.
gonna. I really think that he is prepared, and the way the people I've talked to say he's prepared to take it up a notch. Yes, he's been in the right positions. He's played since he was a true freshman. He knows how to make the plays. He knows how to run the defense, but he can do more. I think he's been challenged to do more, and I think he's challenged himself to do more. So I'm going to keep a real close eye on Junior Colson, not just from running up some big numbers in tackles, but also making some of the key plays that really make a difference, and being able to rush the quarterback, and being able to pick off that tip pass or tip the pass that gets picked off. Those kinds of things that could really help him to take it up a notch. And I'm going to go to the next one. Our next category is biggest breakthrough player on offensive defense. I'm going to switch it and go to defense first, and I want to give my answer because you have already mentioned this young man. I'm calling number 2 that we have talked about, Will Johnson, your biggest breakthrough player on defense.
Okay.
Maybe not me, but he didn't play a ton in the first half of last season. They really, on a measured basis, worked him in. And I talked to him for our football preview, and he said, yeah, they wanted to sprinkle me in, but he was at his best at the end of the season. I wouldn't call it a breakthrough year because of, the limited action he saw early in the year. But to me, he is going to have the sort of start to finish breakthrough year that will really establish himself as the star on this team. And obviously you feel the same because you've got him as the team MVP. What about the breakthrough player on defense in Tom Crawford's estimation?
Okay. This is a little bit. He's not. When I say breakthrough, he's not going to break through and be an alpha dog out there and get all this attention, but he's going to fulfill a supportive role, which I think is going to be a trademark of this defense. I think this Michigan defense, the reason I'm super excited about is because there's so much depth to plug and play. So you don't have guys playing out there with their tongues hanging out, if you know what I mean. Like Junior Colson, wearing him down. Okay. This guy plays the Mike linebacker behind him. He's Jimmy Rolder. Okay. He's number 30, who had played on the special teams a lot last year. And I remember him down in the Big Ten championship game, when Michigan got ahead, so you start zeroing in on players and you're trying to think of who's playing well, and things like that. And he's always in position. He's fundamentally a sound. He wears number 30, and he reminds me of a player who played a different position on defense, but he wore number 30, Brad Cochran, who played in the secondary back in the 80s, mid 80s, where he's always in position. Jimmy Roller's that kind of a player. We're in the same number 30. So I just think he's gonna be filling in the gaps, giving everybody, as these defensive, all 3 levels are gonna be rotations where you're gonna get more personnel. I mean, yeah, we got 11 starters, but there's gonna be 16, 18, 20 guys on that defense that are playing prominent roles. So guys aren't gassed. And Jimmy Rolder is going to be one of those fill-in guys that's going to come out of, people don't even probably know much about Jimmy Rolder. They're going to know more about him this year. That's my.
All right. I like it. I really like it. They're going to need linebackers. They picked one up, as you already alluded to, and Ernest Hausman. They've got great experience in the projected starting spots, but there is room. You need a 4th guy in that depth chart, and it looks like it will be Jimmy Rolder.